Hi, hey Russ here. Welcome back to the shop. Well, it finally happened. I The electricity went off for a long period of time, probably about a day and a half in all. It started off; it was supposed to come on in the first couple hours, and then they kept delaying it. So I kind of transitioned through that situation. As you know, I have a power station that runs off of a couple different 12-volt batteries, and that thing has about 100 amp hour capacity. I also have my little power pack here, which runs off of my Ryobi batteries. I can get 4 batteries on this. You just simply take this and you plug these on, and you get your voltage. And then on the plug-in, you get 12 volts coming out the back. I did a couple of different reviews on when I was building this, and no, I haven't finished it, but I had all my wiring done. I just don't have the brackets all mounted, so that these would just mount here like they're supposed to. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I think after using it, I'm going to change a couple little things that I probably didn't think about before. But I could easily I have 4 different plug-ins on it, so I can take up to 4 batteries and plug 4 batteries on it, and it'll power down all 4 batteries together. And that, between 4 batteries, that gives me 20 amp hours of power. Well, when it first went out, no power went out. When it first went out, I thought it was going to come on in a couple hours or so. So I just got this out, decided I will just run my Microsoft Surface, and I got out my DVD player, which plugs into my Surface. It's an external DVD player, runs off the USB port, but it is kind of a power-hungry little unit. So it'll draw a battery down pretty fast. But this whole thing, ended up running it till 9 o'clock the first night, Tuesday night. I ran it till 9 o'clock. So it ran for about 6 hours in all. And in 6 hours, it went down 0.8 volts, running off of 4 batteries. So near as I can tell, that means I could probably run this thing for quite a long time under that conditions, because these batteries shut down at 15 volts. They won't go below it. It just shuts off and you have no voltage. So they have a built-in safety on them. But I was I was well over 4 volts before that would happen. So I suspect that would actually go for a couple of days if I was thrifty about how to run it. So anyway, so I ran that night. And what happened was, I just used my phone and I contacted a website and found out that from the power company, first they said to be on by 6. Then they changed that to 9 o'clock. And then when I went to bed around 9 o'clock, and all I did was run the computer and the DVD player, and we just sat around watching videos from the DVD player. And that was entertaining for the evening. No internet, no fans, no air. Not much of anything else. We didn't use the refrigerator or the freezer. Didn't open them any more than we had to. And at 9 o'clock, I checked it one more time, and they changed it from coming on at 9 o'clock to pending. Well, that told me I was probably going to have a problem. But I thought, well, maybe it'll come on in the night. I'm not going to worry about it tonight. I'm done for the day. So we just shut it all down, and we went to bed. When I get up the next morning, still no power. Checked the website, and it said still pending. So I decided that was time to move up. So I went out, fired up the generator, plugged in the electric cord to the house, flipped the 2 circuit breakers that I have to make it work, and take it off the power grid and put it onto the generator. And lo and behold, the whole house is back up and running off the generator. So I ran that in the morning for a couple hours on, a couple hours off. And I finally decided that it was getting warm enough that I'd like to keep it running. I didn't run the air conditioner. It was running everything else in the house without any problem. I decided not to push the envelope, so I did not turn on the air conditioner, but we used all the fans. And as a result, it worked fine. And the afternoon, I just kind of left it running. It got a little, I will say, because of where the generator sits in that shed right close to the house, and the way I set it up, you have to go back and look at that video. If you go to my channel, there's a playlist there called Portable Power. And if you go through there, I did one where I showed the setup of my generator and how I have it set up and how it works, so you can see. But I had it all set up and I used it, and I noticed that it really got kind of warm in the shed. Overly warm? Probably not. You know, it was exhausting out through the wall. I had a pipe set up that I can put on, and then the exhaust was not staying in the building. But the heat of the generator was still kind of keeping things a little warm, even with the door wide open. So I think I'm going to have to probably change that a little bit, but that's not going to be a big deal. But it worked perfect. And the way it worked, I could very easily use that for days if I had to. All I have to do is make sure I get gasoline to keep it going. And it runs on probably use about 5 gallons a day is what I would use to operate that in the house. So that was a total success using that generator. And at that point, I didn't need the power pack, obviously, anymore. So it went by the wayside. But I had to use this the first night because at first we didn't know how long it was going to be off. And I didn't want to fire up the generator. So I actually just used this to run my Microsoft Surface and my DVD player that plugs into my Microsoft Surface tablet. And it's kind of a power-hungry little guy. And so it'll run my Microsoft Surface Surface battery down probably in a couple hours if I'm running a DVD player and the computer at the same time. So I got out my power pack here, which if you don't know anything about that, you can find that on that playlist. Just go to my website, do a portable power playlist of portable power, and you can see all the different ones I did. And I did 3 or 4 about this particular power pack unit. And so it runs off of 4 Ryobi batteries. These are little 5 amp batteries, so with 4 of them I get 20 amp hours. And all you do is you just take them and plug them in, and now I have power. So if I plug in 2 of them, I still have my 20 volts. It started off at 20 volts with fully charged. It dropped off, and in about 6 hours of using it with my computer and my DVD player playing DVDs all evening, it dropped off about 0.8 volts is all it dropped off. So, and this thing will go until this hits about 15 volts, and then this batteries will shut down. They have a safety built in apparently that won't let them discharge more than that. And so, but it wasn't anywhere near that, so I could run this thing for hours and probably even a couple of days on my computer setup if I had to. So this thing came through like flying colors when I used it that night. So when we went to bed, they changed the power coming back on from 9 o'clock to pending. And so the next morning when I got up and I did put the generator on and got it all running, then I didn't use this anymore. So it worked good for when I used it, and when I was only going to be out for a short time, I thought this would be enough, and actually it would have been if it had come back on. This would have been great, very little inconvenience, and still could have had a quality evening. So, but with the generator, everything still worked super well, I have to tell you. So I just wanted to give you an update and let you know about that. I did finally get the electricity to come on yesterday evening, so it went off Tuesday afternoon and came back on Wednesday late in the day. And between the two, between the generator and between that and this, things really went well, and I really didn't have any problem. In fact, I had one neighbor ask me to put some of his stuff from his freezer in mine, so that he wouldn't lose everything in his freezer, because that was probably too long for a freezer not to let things thaw out. So, which I did, wasn't a problem. So he took up some of my refrigerator space of my spare refrigerator and my freezer. So it was very handy. And me, I was never having a problem. So, works well. I'm really happy with the system. I have some minor things I want to change. And for example, the power pack. First, let me tell you about the generator. It's in the shed, and like I said, you go watch that video, you'll see what I'm talking about. And the exhaust out of the shed, so it doesn't get it too hot. But it still seemed to get pretty warm in there. Using it yesterday all day. So I think maybe I'll probably revamp and put some kind of fan system and some other vents on the walls to help keep it a little cooler inside of the shed when I am running that generator. It shouldn't be a big deal, and but I think it'll help to keep it not quite so hot, because we really don't want that generator to run any hotter than it has to. So, but other than that, I'm very, very happy with how it worked. It took me less than 10 minutes to get it up and running, and everything works really great. So I don't think I could ask for much better. As far as my power pack, it really did very well too. So I had very little voltage drop off, and I'm glad I didn't finish this project yet. It's finished enough that I was able to use it. I just had to get a piece of plywood, and I set everything on the plywood, and I just set my batteries up like this and set them all on and just picked the whole thing up and took it in. Plugged into my power port here with my adapter for my 12-volt adapter to my computer, and that's how I ran everything, and it works really great. So, but I think maybe I'm going to scrub this whole box, and I've got all the wiring and everything, so that's not going to be a big deal. Well, I'm going to build a different box, and I'm going to take this unit here. If you know what this is that Ryobi 6-port battery charger, and it quit working. It only lasted about 6 months, and I really didn't have stuff plugged in there all that much in that 6-month period. Very disappointed in this. The other problem is that even when it did work, it would only charge one battery at a time, so it took you up to 6 different battery times of charging to charge them all, rather than charging them all at one time. So I don't know any advantage over this, but what I'm going to do is, I have a single charger. I'm going to buy 2 more, so I'll have 3 of them. Then, when I've got all my batteries need to be charged, I can plug 3 batteries in, charge them up, pull them out, put my other 3 batteries in there, and I have all 6 of these batteries charged up, and the length of time it takes to charge 2 batteries. And this thing would take the span of 6 battery chargings to charge all 6 batteries. I was very disappointed in this thing, and more so in the electronics of it. But I'm still going to get a use out of this. I'm not disappointed to the point that I'm going to call and complain. But if you're watching this thing here. So anyway, what I'm going to do is this piece right here and this right here, these 2 plates, I'm going to put them on another box similar to this design, but these will fit on the box, so I can just take these and plug them in, and then have this all wired up like this, so that then I can use this plate on my box. Or I might just gut this box and use this box to do this. I don't know until I get inside here and see what it looks like inside for wiring and everything. But again, it's only going to be, I only use this to give me power. I don't use it to charge the batteries. I charge the batteries through a standard battery charger. It's just that simple, and that's all I can do. So, my power pack, though, does work very, very well. I'm very happy with the way it worked. I also did if you go through all those videos, I also made a portable power station, I called it, which is based on 2 12-volt batteries. And it's a little bigger capacity than this thing can have with these. But I didn't even get that out. I just didn't need it. So I don't know how much use I get out of that compared to using my little portable power pack here. This, I think, is going to be an awesome thing. When I go to this setup, it'll be even better. So I can put all 6 in there easily and run that. And that'll give me, with the batteries I have, the 5 amp hour batteries, that'll give me 30 amp hours of battery capacity. And if I go to the 9 amp hour batteries, which I may do someday, I can just switch them out and use them instead. And then I would get 54 amp hours out of it instead. So I think switching over to that is not going to be a problem. That's why I'm not totally upset with it. But don't buy one of these. I'm telling you now, if you have the opportunity, just buy the single one. If one of them breaks, you just buy one more and you keep going. And just buy 3 of them instead of buying one of these. And you won't spend really virtually any more money than you would on buying this as you would buying 3 individuals. So, my advice, do it however you want. If you have any questions about any of this, I kind of probably rambled on about it a little too much. I probably repeated myself a little bit, but I wanted to tell you about the power outage, and I finally had one. And I was so glad I was able to put this all together and use it during that time, and really helped me get through that very easily without any serious problems, especially since it turned out to be well over 24 hours without power, and that would have been really bad for my freezer, quite frankly. So I have a couple of neighbors that they lost a few things, and I had one neighbor that asked me very nicely to put stuff in my freezer, and I had enough room that he could put his stuff in there, so it helped him out. But it's wonderful to have. So anyway, any questions or comments or suggestions, leave them in the comments down below. If you have any ideas about how to do it better, I'd like to hear that too. So if you like this video, you learned something here, hit that like button. Most importantly, come back, because we're nowhere near done. Thanks, and we'll see you again soon.